April 25th, 1945. Berlin, 3:42 a.m. The city no longer sleeps. The air vibrates with distant thunder, not from storms, but from Soviet artillery pounding the city's edge. Each shell lands closer. Each impact shakes dust from ceilings, rattles windows already cracked from weeks of bombardment. In the half-light of a flickering candle, Corporal Franz Keller presses his back against the damp concrete wall of an underground bunker. His uniform, once gray, is now the color of ash. His hands tremble, not from fear alone, but exhaustion. He hasn't slept in 2 days, maybe 3. He's lost count. Above him, Berlin burns. Entire blocks glow red against the horizon, flames licking the night sky like ghosts rising from the ruins. You can almost smell it. Smoke, gunpowder, and something far worse, the stench of death, lingering in every street. Keller's commanding officer whispers, "The Soviets are 2 blocks away." His voice cracks as he speaks. "We hold until dawn." Hold! That word feels meaningless now. Everyone knows the war is lost. They just don't dare say it aloud. Outside, Soviet tanks crawl forward like iron beasts, their engines roaring through the ruins. Every building becomes a fortress, every window a sniper's nest. The Germans, boys barely out of school and old men pulled from retirement, clutch rifles that jam from overuse. From the shadows, civilians shuffle toward basements, dragging what's left of their lives in suitcases. Mothers hush crying children. An old man mutters a prayer. A woman clutches a faded photo of her husband who never came back from the Eastern Front. And yet, amidst all this despair, there's still a strange illusion of order. Officers bark commands. Radios crackle. Propaganda still plays through broken loudspeakers, promising victory that no one believes in anymore. As dawn creeps over the skyline, the sound changes. Less distant now. You can hear machine guns spitting in short, angry bursts. The Soviets have breached the outskirts. Keller glances at the soldier beside him. Heinz, 19 years old, trying to light a cigarette with shaking hands. "You ever think we'd see this day?" Heinz mutters. Keller exhales slowly. "No, but I knew it was coming." A thunderous explosion cuts through their words. The bunker trembles. Concrete dust rains down like snow. A single light bulb bursts overhead, plunging the men into semi-darkness. For a moment, no one breathes. Then, silence. And beneath it, the faintest sound of something new. Footsteps. Dozens of them. Heavy. Deliberate. The Soviets are here. Keller grips his rifle, presses his back to the wall and whispers to himself, not a prayer, but a thought. So this is how it ends. He raises his weapon, heart pounding. The door creaks open. April 26th, 1945, 6:10 a.m. Berlin wakes not to sunlight, but to fire. The skyline is a smear of black smoke and orange flame, as if the city itself is being swallowed whole. In the narrow streets around the Reichstag, Soviet T-34 tanks grind over rubble and shattered tram lines. Their turrets swivel methodically, firing shells into any building still standing. Each explosion echoes through the labyrinth of concrete, an endless, thunderous heartbeat of destruction. Corporal Franz Keller crawls through a collapsed stairwell, the world above him shaking. He can feel the heat from the fires even underground. His unit, what's left of it, is scattered. Heinz is gone. No one saw him after the last bombardment. When Keller emerges onto the street, it doesn't look like a street anymore. The cobblestones are cratered. The air is filled with smoke so thick you can taste it, bitter, metallic, choking. Somewhere, A piano plays a few broken notes before another shell lands, silencing it forever. Civilians wander through the chaos in stunned silence, faces gray from dust and despair. Some still wear their Sunday clothes, as if dressing properly could keep the end of the world away. A young girl, maybe 10, stands by the ruins of her home clutching a doll missing an arm. Keller stops for a second, wanting to say something, anything, but there are no words left. Only the sound of artillery in the distance, getting closer. Down Wilhelmstrasse, Soviet infantry moves in formation, step by step, their red flags fluttering through the smoke. For every block they take, the resistance grows weaker. German soldiers fight from cellars, windows, even sewers, but each stand lasts minutes before being crushed. By noon, the streets are littered with the wreckage of both sides, twisted metal, smoldering tanks, fallen men whose faces are already turning gray beneath the dust. Inside the government district, high-ranking officers argue over maps that no longer matter. Hitler still sends out orders from the bunker beneath the chancellery, convinced phantom divisions will come to his rescue. The truth is cruelly simple. There's nothing left to rescue him. Meanwhile, in the civilian shelters, people whisper rumors that the Americans are close, that a surrender might come soon, that the Soviets will show mercy. But Keller knows better. He's seen what the Soviets found in Poland, in Prussia. There will be no mercy here. He slips through the ruins, clutching his rifle, not as a weapon, but as a lifeline. The city groans and burns around him. At the corner of Friedrichstrasse, he spots a group of SS officers shooting their own wounded. No witnesses, one of them mutters coldly. Keller turns away, sickened. He no longer fights for victory. He fights to see another sunrise, even if it's through smoke. By evening, the Soviets are within sight of the Reichstag. Red flares light up the sky like blood-colored stars. The German lines are crumbling. Civilians scream as shells rip through what's left of the city's defenses. In one bunker, an old woman begins to pray aloud. In another, a group of soldiers drink what is remains of their rations, laughing bitterly, because what else is left to do? And then, amidst the chaos, a rumor spreads. Hitler is still alive. He's still in Berlin. Some see that as hope. Others see it as madness. Keller just stares toward the burning horizon. He whispers under his breath, "Berlin is dead. We just haven't buried it yet." The ground shakes again, louder this time. A tank shell slams into the building across the street, tearing it apart. Keller dives for cover as debris rains down. When the smoke clears, he looks up and sees a red flag rising above a shattered rooftop. The Soviets are inside the heart of Berlin now.
April 28th, 1945, 10:45 p.m. Deep beneath the smoldering streets of Berlin, the air is thick with sweat, cigarette smoke, and the faint hum of a failing ventilation system. In the Führer bunker, the last circle of power has turned into a mausoleum. The walls drip with moisture. Maps hang limp on the concrete, marked with red pins that no longer mean anything. Generals whisper, aides shuffle papers, and typists pound keys with trembling fingers. Outside, artillery thunders so close that dust drifts from the ceiling with every blast. Adolf Hitler, pale and trembling, sits at a long table covered with half-eaten meals and scattered documents. His right hand shakes uncontrollably as he tries to read the latest reports. The words blur together. Encircled, no reinforcements, Soviets within 1 kilometer. He looks up, eyes sunken and glassy, and mutters, "They'll rescue us. Wenck's army will break through." No one corrects him anymore. The generals have stopped arguing with the delusion. In a corner of the bunker, Franz Keller and a few other soldiers wait for orders that never come. They're assigned to the perimeter, if there even is one left. The air tastes of mold and hopelessness. Every now and then someone tries to joke, but laughter dies before it can escape their throats. Then, footsteps echo through the hallway. An adjutant rushes in, face pale. The Soviets are less than 500 meters away. They've breached the Tiergarten. Silence. No one reacts. What's the point? A young officer lights a cigarette with shaking hands. "It's over," he whispers. Another soldier spits on the floor. "Don't say that," he growls. But the truth hangs heavy in the stale air. Everyone feels it. Above them, the city screams. The shelling never stops. You can hear the deep rhythmic boom of Soviet howitzers and the distant crash of collapsing buildings. Somewhere, an ammunition depot goes up in flames, lighting the night like a dying sun. Keller sits alone near the corridor wall, staring at his rifle. The metal feels cold, lifeless. He thinks of his mother. Last letter received in 1944, never replied. He thinks of his home near Dresden, of the river, of summer air that didn't reek of smoke. He hasn't seen the sky in weeks. Suddenly, a familiar voice cuts through the chaos. It's Heinz, covered in soot, limping, alive. "Franz," he gasps, "you're still here." Keller almost laughs. "Barely. Thought you were dead." Heinz grins weakly. "Not yet, but give it a day." They share a moment of silence. Then Heinz says it, the words no one wants to hear. "I heard he's going to do it, the Führer. They say he's planning to end it himself." Keller doesn't reply. He just stares at the flickering light above them, listening to the muffled roars of the world dying above their heads. By midnight, the bunker is filled with whispers. People moving quietly from room to room. A sense of finality in the air, heavy, suffocating. And then, a sound. A single, sharp crack. For a moment, everyone freezes. Then, silence. Keller looks at Heinz. They don't speak. They don't need to. Somewhere down the corridor, the door to Hitler's private quarters has been locked from the inside. A few minutes later, one of the aides rushes past, pale as chalk. "It's done," he whispers. No one cheers, no one mourns. They just stare at each other, unsure of what to feel. Above them, the earth shakes again, another Soviet shell landing somewhere close. Keller exhales slowly. "So, that's it?" Heinz nods. "That's it. But even now the battle isn't over. Outside, Soviet soldiers push deeper, relentless, unstoppable. The Reichstag is within reach, and they intend to raise their flag before the sun sets again." Keller stands, gripping his rifle one last time. "Come on," he says. "If we stay here, we die rats in a hole." Heinz nods. "And if we go out there?" Keller almost smiles. "Then we die standing." They climb the bunker steps, each one echoing like a drumbeat of fate. As they reach the final door, Keller pauses, glances back to the darkness below, and whispers, "Berlin's heart just stopped beating." He pushes the door open and steps into the inferno above. April 29th, 1945, 4:32 a.m. The city that once called itself the heart of the Reich now beats only with fire. The streets of Berlin are rivers of smoke and glass, every corner lit by the red glow of burning buildings. The air hums with machine gun fire and the howl of shells tearing through the dawn.
Corporal Franz Keller pushes forward through the rubble with Heinz at his side. Their boots crunch over shattered bricks, bullet casings, and the twisted wrecks of streetcars. The heat stings their faces. Every breath tastes like iron and ash. Ahead, a small pocket of German soldiers holds a barricade made from overturned trucks and sandbags. Their exhausted ghosts in tattered uniforms, eyes hollow from days without sleep. One of them spots Keller. "You from the bunker?" he shouts. Keller nods. "Then you know," the man says quietly. "He's gone." Keller just nods again. There's no need for words. Everyone knows what comes next. The Soviets are everywhere now, moving like a tide through the ruins. Tanks crawl up Wilhelmstrasse, their treads grinding through the dead. The air shakes with each blast. From the Reichstag to the Brandenburg Gate, the last defenders fight not for victory, but for the illusion of honor. Heinz slumps behind a wall, loading his last magazine. "Think anyone will remember us?" he asks. Keller glances at him. "Maybe not our names." "Then what are we fighting for?" Keller doesn't answer. He doesn't know. Maybe for the man beside him, maybe because stopping means facing what they've done. A Soviet loudspeaker blares through the smoke. "Germans, lay down your weapons. Berlin is finished." The voice is calm, almost merciful, but the men around Keller grip their rifles tighter. No one surrenders yet. Then the world explodes. A tank shell hits the barricade, blasting men and sandbags into the air. Keller's ears ring, his vision blurs. He feels himself thrown backward, the ground rushing up to meet him. When the dust clears, the barricade is gone. Half the unit lies motionless. Heinz is bleeding, clutching his side, teeth clenched. Keller drags him into the shadow of a collapsed wall. The sound of footsteps grows louder. Soviet infantry advancing, shouting orders in Russian. "Leave me," Heinz gasps. "Go." Keller shakes his head. "Shut up." He rips a piece of his uniform to bandage the wound, but it's useless. The blood keeps coming. Heinz grips his arm weakly. "Don't let them take me." Keller hesitates. His hand trembles on the rifle. Then he lowers it. "You'll see the morning," he lies. Outside, the Soviets push closer. You can hear the clank of their rifles, the crunch of boots, the shouts echoing off stone. A grenade rolls across the pavement. Keller kicks it back. The explosion lights up the street like lightning. He looks up, just in time to see the Reichstag in the distance, its dome cracked open like a skull, smoke pouring from its wounds. And above it, barely visible through the haze, a shape moving on the rooftop. A flag, red, rising. Keller freezes. For a long moment he can't move, can't breathe. The symbol of victory fluttering over the corpse of the city, it's both beautiful and horrifying. The sound around him fades. All he hears is the flutter of fabric and the distant cheer of soldiers who have won. He looks back at Heinz. The boy's eyes are closed now, peaceful. Keller slumps beside him, rifle across his knees, staring blankly at the dawn creeping through the smoke. The Soviets pass by him without noticing him. Or maybe they do, and they just don't care. The war is over. Berlin has fallen. Somewhere behind him, the bunker burns. Somewhere ahead, the world is already rewriting what happened here. Keller whispers to no one, "We were kings of ashes." He closes his eyes.
May 8th, 1945. 1 week after the guns fell silent, Berlin lies still, too quiet for a city that once roared with life. The air smells of wet ash and smoke, a mixture of rain and ruin. The fires have died down, but the sky still hangs gray, heavy with the memory of what happened here. In what's left of a shattered apartment block, Franz Keller wakes to the sound of boots outside. Not marching, scavenging. Soviet patrols sweep through the wreckage, searching for weapons, for stragglers, for anything still moving. Keller isn't hiding anymore. He just sits by a window with no glass, watching the rain drip from the twisted iron beams. His rifle is gone, his uniform torn, muddy, stripped of insignia. He's no soldier now, just another survivor in a city that forgot what mercy feels like. Below, children wander through the rubble, barefoot and silent. A woman picks through debris for food, while two Soviet soldiers share a cigarette nearby, laughing softly. The war is over, but the peace feels nothing like peace. Keller remembers the bunker, the faces, the final words whispered in the dark. It plays in his mind like a dream that won't fade. He wonders if anyone outside Germany will ever understand what it felt like to watch everything crumble from inside. That evening, he's rounded up with other German soldiers, prisoners now. They stand in the rain, heads bowed, while Red Army trucks rumble past. Some men cry, some stare blankly. Keller does neither. When an officer asks his name, he hesitates. For the first time, corporal means nothing. He just says, "Franz Keller," and steps forward. The convoy moves toward the east, through fields still scarred by shell fire. The landscape looks endless, broken villages, burned forests, and silence. Days pass, weeks blur. Food is scarce, sleep even rarer. But Keller survives, somehow. One night, lying beneath a tarpaulin under the open sky, he finally dreams of home. The Elbe River, his mother's voice. For a moment, the war feels far away, as if it belonged to another lifetime, another man. When he wakes, dawn is breaking. The sky is clear for the first time in months, streaked with pale gold light. He takes a slow breath. The air smells clean, not of fire, but of rain-soaked earth. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell rings. A sound that once meant routine now feels like rebirth. Keller doesn't know if he'll ever see his home again. He doesn't know what the world will do with men like him, those who fought, survived, and can't explain why. But for now, he walks, step by step, eastward, into the unknown. Behind him, Berlin sleeps, a city of ghosts, waiting to be reborn. Berlin, the empire's heart, now silent. A week ago, every street screamed with fire. Now only whispers remain, and ghosts that refuse to leave. War doesn't end when the guns stop. It lingers, in the faces of those who survived, and in the silence of those who didn't. In the ashes of defeat, there's no glory, only memory, only the fragile mercy of still being alive. He exhales, slow and heavy. The wind stirs his hair, the church bell rings once more. He looks toward the horizon, a sky turning gold above the wreckage. The Battle of Berlin is over. But for those who lived through it, the war never truly ends. You've just witnessed one of the darkest chapters in human history, the final days of Berlin, 1945. A story of chaos, surrender, and the few who somehow lived to tell it. If this story moved you or made you think differently about the cost of war, take a moment to subscribe, because here we don't just tell history, we feel it. This is Lifery, where every story breathes again.